There's a fear that if you put council members in districts and you don't give them power, they're going to be crushed by the mayor. We have a strong mayoral form of government. If you have council by districts, but you don't give our council members some authority, say for instance, let's take the lighting department. If in my area of the city, if I have a bunch of street lights out and I can't call the lighting department director in to answer to that problem, my voters in my district are going to vote me out because they figure I can't get anything done. Yeah, it kind of does set up a competition thing. But a competition is not bad. If my competing district is competing with me for this small business that could hire 500 people, I think that's good as long as the business is in the city. I think that's a good thing. So I don't see that competition part as bad until it gets into an area where it could lead to corruption and problems of those type. My biggest concern would be the mayor having the ability to destroy a council member because they don't have any authority over directors and heads of departments. If we're going to go to council by district, we must also place some power in the hand of those people who are in those districts. Are there going to be problems? Probably. No system is perfect, but looking at where we are now, and if you drive around the city and look at a lot of our neighborhoods and the condition they're in, and actually there are many neighborhoods that are just forgotten. I think that's unfortunate. I think we need to spread our council people out across the city. They need to be in areas where they can actually see what other people are dealing with, what the community is seeing, so they can start addressing those problems. And I don't think that's being done. And if someone could bring forward to me another way that we can get this done without going to council by district, I want to hear it. But right now, I'm steadfast in favor of having our council people in districts because I think it's so important. It's so important to the communities, especially those that have been long forgotten. Well, you know what? Of all the cities of our size, I think Detroit and Columbus are the only two that have an at-large system, if I remember correctly. In looking at a lot of these cities, you hear more about the whole corruption part and all those things in, say, Chicago, as opposed to some of the other cities. They do have their problems, but I never got the sense that their issues were as steep as, say, Chicago that's long been a ward system. But even in Chicago, they're functioning. I didn't get the sense that there are neighborhoods that are just completely neglected, but I think in any system there's certainly room for improvement. And if you look at where we are right now as a city, there's a lot of room for improvement. I'm willing to try this and see if it works. I bet it will. I live in the same neighborhood I practically grew up in. We moved on Apple and Grand River in 1969. When we moved there along Grand River, there were every brand name car dealership you could think of. There was Great Scots and Wrigley's, and we could walk to Greenfield and Grand River, to Federals and Montgomery's, or Oakman and Grand River to Sears, and so the area was vibrant. I live at on Cheyenne between West Chicago and Joy Road now. My mother still lives on Apolline and Grand River in the same house I grew up in. My sister lives down the street from her. A lot of my family still lives in the same area. Drugs are a problem in our neighborhood. On my block, I have 15 vacant houses. The house directly across the street from me was recently lost to the bank. The people were evicted, not maybe 2 days later. It was a smokehouse. We had to call Chase Bank in order to get them to come out and board up their property. The unfortunate thing in the city of Detroit, we have 80,000 vacant and abandoned homes, another 10,000 in foreclosure. To my understanding, the city only owns 1,900 of these properties. That means the banks own an overwhelming number of the properties in our city that sit vacant. That's a problem. The city should be aggressively pursuing these banks, paying taxes, or giving these properties over to the city so we can then turn them over to residents. During the Coleman Young era, we used to sell houses for $1. I think we need to get back to that. There's no reason these houses should be sitting vacant and left like they are when we could have a tax base. We have a lot of slum landlords in our, who have property in our city, and some of those slum landlords are banks. If they're not going to take care of the properties, give the properties to the city, let us sell the properties, thereby creating a tax base. There are between 15 and 20 vacant houses on my block right now today. It's a problem. The city can best address this by getting these properties into the hands of people who can pay taxes and take care of them, and hopefully find someone who can live in these houses. So one of the bigger issues, in addition to the drugs in my neighborhood, are the number of vacant and abandoned homes that keep popping up. And we got to get a handle on that problem. It's destroying our neighborhoods. I think it's important, if we're going to attract business, number one, we have to make people feel like they're going to be safe in the city of Detroit. Whether you're a business or a resident, you got to feel like you want to be safe, or else you're not going to open up a business here. The second thing we have to do is signal to business by our actions that pay to play is over and there's a level playing field. People have had to jump through red tape, or because they didn't have the right relationships, they weren't able to get their business off the ground. We have to move away from that. Let people know that we're open for business. You can open your business here. In terms of small businesses, when I speak about privatization, I speak about it on a large scale, and sometimes I have to remind myself that there are small businesses, particularly small minority businesses, who may want to be trying to get off the ground, and I don't want to deny them the opportunity. So my point is, if they're a small business owner who say wants to get a contract with the city, landscaping or something of that nature as an example, that's something I don't have a problem with. We have to make opportunities available. I don't have a problem with making those opportunities available, but the bottom line is we have to let businesses know, particularly small businesses know, that you can do business here. You're not going to have to deal with the pay to play. You're going to have a level playing field, and I'm going to do whatever I can to help you cut through the red tape so you can get whatever you need to get your business open and get it off the ground. I have a better chance of addressing those issues currently as an officer as opposed to a city councilman. I'll explain what I'm talking about. As a council person, I have no direct control over the police department, although I can restrain the police department's budget, but the chief doesn't answer to me as a council person as we sit today. Now, if the charter changes that, that's fine. Great. I would love to have the chief have to come to the table and answer to me about particular things going on in the police department. My time as an officer, however, I could address those issues because I'm out on the street and I'm seeing it on a one-to-one basis. So, in answer to your question, I have a better opportunity as a frontline officer to address those issues as it relates to citizens and police interaction than I would as a council person as it stands right now.